Ready. They are ready. All right, we are live. I'm logging in to my Odds Logic screen as we speak on my iPad because, as you guys can tell, I'm not in my office today. Just got back from San Francisco, and it has been it's been a really fun 12 hours since I got home. My house is a little under construction, so you guys have to bear with me with the laptop and the marginal lighting at best. And yes, that is a TV on my ceiling outside. Don't ask. It's been a cause for some serious arguments. But good morning, everyone. College basketball Saturday. We've got a star-studded lineup for you today. We've got Gianni the Greek coming up first. Adam Trigger, Rob Veno from Full Court Press. Yes, I know you guys want to talk all things Super Bowl, but that is for tomorrow with Ariel Epstein. So if you guys have a comment, a question in the chat regarding a game, I usually am pretty lenient with you guys because I can use the Command F feature and search for the game on Odds Logic. But today I need rotation numbers. So I'm going to answer the questions with rotation numbers first because it's not as easy on an iPad with 100 plus college basketball games. And that is, thank you, Johnny. I do look tired. And that is because I was in San Francisco, Radio Row all week. And yeah, thank you so much for that. It feels like it's 8 a.m. I'm fine. I was on Radio Row at this time by this time, but now Johnny is a tier of my enemy. Okay, guys, let's get right into it here. Gianni the Greek. He's out in Vegas right now. VR, you said something to me, and I don't ever mean to disparage Vegas, right? Like, I don't. But I do a show with Crack, and sometimes we bitch about Vegas and say, hey, like, Vegas is wrong here, whether it's like a parking situation or charging $900 to sit in one seat at a sports book. The Westgate Superbook, by the way, is doing a free Super Bowl party in their theater room. Free. Yes, you still have to pay for beer, and yes, you still have to pay for food. But it is free starting at 1 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. So I was kind of complaining. Like, I thought maybe Vegas wasn't getting that buzz, and you said it really wasn't.
No, at all. Actually, I'm all unshaven. I'm excited tonight to go out and, see what's really happening out there. But I can tell you, just running in and out of sports books like I've been doing throughout this week, attacking some of the props, I just haven't felt that buzz that I have in past Super Bowls. Like, I haven't gotten that excitement yet that I usually start getting from the people coming to town. You start seeing the jerseys of both teams. You start hearing conversations everywhere, whether you're in the elevator, whether you're waiting in line. Like, people are talking about the game. They're talking about bets. And I'm just not seeing that yet. I don't know whether it's these two teams just kind of came out of nowhere. Before the season started, both upwards of 50-1 to win the Super Bowl. So none of us saw this coming, that's for sure. And maybe the lack of excitement, I just don't know. But I will tell you, I've been through enough Super Bowls to gauge, and I just haven't felt it. Now, we'll know come Monday morning when they report how much was bet and what the hold is, how it's compared, and if it continues, climbing, if the betting grows from last year. But yeah, I'd be surprised if that's the case, at least from what it looks like so far.
You know what, though? I also feel like from like a TV perspective, I'm going to watch the game, but like, I'm not having a party this year. I think it's the amount of exhaustion, as Johnny alluded to, coming back from San Fran, the time change, the house construction, all the stuff. I just want to sit down on my couch and watch a game and just kind of hang out. It's not like this big event like it's been for me personally. So I'm curious to see what the overall watchable numbers are as well for this game. As you mentioned, the page, I mean, we were in San Francisco, not Santa Clara, not San Jose, right? One of the teams was staying in Palo Alto, 2 hours away. So it didn't have that Super Bowl, like when we were in Vegas for Radio Row, when I was in Miami last year, everybody said New Orleans just had a crazy buzz. It wasn't like that in San Fran. We saw several media members, but there were so many people that I didn't see that I expected to. It was just really strange there as well. So I think it's like the game overall, as you said, that is just not getting the publicity that we expected. All right, I think I've got 17 games from Art at the Westgate Superbook. It's absolutely nuts. Again, if you guys have a question for VR, I need rotation numbers if you want your question answered, because I got Odds Logic on my iPad today, and it's not as easy as on my desktop with multiple screens. So you guys have to bear with me here, and I should probably pick up college basketball and not NBA. Go figure, VR. It's one of those mornings, but I am here for you guys, and VR is here for you. So let's get into some of the stuff that you guys seen. Let's talk about the Steam sheet and what you've got over there, as well as some premium plays, and then start taking some of these questions from the audience.
Yeah, real quickly. NFL, I know we're talking just college basketball today, but just want to throw it out there. Starting to see some of the takebacks on some of those props that got bet early. I talked about it early in the week that we saw nothing but overs from even the betting syndicates early. And now we're starting to see some of that take back. And two of the very popular props that I've seen a lot of sharp bettors talk about, I saw take back on. And the first one is Drake May interceptions. I know we all bet the over half because that's the sharp side. Well, I can tell you yesterday, the bot put in under half at plus 120. Also, Drake May rushing yards. I know we're all on that over 32.5, 33.5, but I can tell you right now, the bot got under 38.5 minus 115 last night. So we are seeing some take back on some of these props, some middle attempts, and some scalps as well. And that's going to happen between now and kickoff. So watch your odds logic screens for that. Now, basketball, that's what we're here for. Real quickly, in the NBA, just a couple overnights that we saw get hit. Brooklyn -5, Utah +8.5, and Memphis +9. But all the action, all the attention, all the volume is in college basketball. There's probably like 16 plus games already on the Steam sheet. I'll read off a couple of them, Kelsey, if what we match up with. 637 Princeton +3.5. 656 Georgia State -5.5. 701 Alabama +3. The public's on Alabama as well. 713 Western Carolina +5. 822 Nevada -10.5. 613 Drexel +4. 634 TCU -9.5. 607 Villanova -2.5. That's one-sided. I got like 100% of the tickets and the money on Villanova. Sharps on Villanova as well. 781 Pacific -8. And right now, total came in on the extra board, 306,665, under 143 Northwestern State, East Texas A&M. So plays will just keep coming in, Kel, throughout the day. Like right now, we just got Syracuse, Virginia over 147. Game 609, Syracuse, Virginia over 147. And that's what it's going to be like next week when we start doing the Steam Room on Saturdays. We'll get nonstop live stuff coming in. So, but first we have this weekend to see if we could continue doing damage. What a week it's been.
Yeah, what an amazing week it has been. Looking at the comment section, we have a ton of new WagerTalk insiders. If you guys are looking to join, WT.buzz/insiders, $2.99 a month. Johnny Detroit is texting me like I'm not on a live show right now. He's in the comments section. What does this man want from me on this Saturday morning? I know what you guys want. You guys want this exhaustive list. VR, I texted to you. That was me going off on your phone. Not Thank you. Play, I think about 17 plays. I dropped them in the chat. We're going to go through some of these. You mentioned Georgia State. That was one of the plays that came across at the Westgate Superbook as well. But I want to kind of talk to you about this exhaustive list. A couple of them have already moved 2 points. Half a point, I don't mind tailing, right? So 2 weeks ago, we went 12, 7, and 1 on the plays. The sharp guys went, I believe it was 13 and 6. 13, 6, and 1. Regardless, we had a push, they had a win. We had a loss, they had a push, right? And so when the market's off a half point, when the market's off, in some of these total cases, 2 points, what is your recommendation for those in the chat? What should they be doing with this, right? So like, I got this information about 45 minutes ago. I put in all these bets right then and there. That's why I wanted to drop them off the top of the show as well, because I know they're going to still be on the move from those board cleaners and those steam chasers. So kind of break that down from what you think they should be doing with this information.
All right. It depends on the half a point, number one. The half a point's what you're going to see the most difference in. Now, when they get up to a point and a half difference, it's a different story. But most of the subscribers and most bettors that are reading the market and trying to piggyback steam, they're usually going to get a half point worse. Now, each half point ain't the same. And here's what I mean. Like a perfect example, these match up. I have Nevada. We bet Nevada -10.5. Art has Nevada -10.5. If I looked at my screen and I saw, if I like Nevada, let's say, I look at my screen, I look up and it's minus 11. I'm betting it right away. To me, the half point at that particular bet doesn't matter. And here's why. Because if the sharp side covers, the worst I can do is push, meaning they have to win by 11, right? If the minus 10.5 covers, the worst they could do is win by 11. So the worst I can do by laying 11, if they cash, is me pushing. Now, what if they bet Nevada minus 10 and I look up and might have 10.5? Now it's a different story because they push at 10, I lose at 10.5. If it lands 10, these guys get their money back. I lose a whole unit plus juice. So now that puts me behind. That's the difference in the half points. So if I'm if I'm in a position where they can push and I can lose, that half point matters. But if I'm in a position where the worst that happens is they win and I push, I could live with that. That's fine. So you want to differentiate between the half point differences. Next, what point spread are we talking about? A half point matters a lot more when you're talking 3.5 to 4, 4.5 to 5, 5.5 to 6, compared to 17.5 to 18. That half point doesn't matter because you're expecting a team to score a lot of points and there's a lot of variance involved. So if you're betting a big favorite that's minus 17, if they go to minus 17.5, minus 18, you're not losing all that much value. But if you're laying a favorite that's minus 4 and now he goes to minus 5, minus 5.5, that's a huge difference. That's a significant change. I always talk about implied win probability. And you'll notice the higher you go up in money line, the lesser the change in implied win probability, even though the numbers expand. Meaning going from a minus 200 to a minus 300 is only an 8% change in implied win probability. But going from minus 150 to minus 200, just that 50 cents, that changes it 7.5%, 8%. So there's a big difference between moving 50 cents and moving a whole dollar, and yet you have the exact same change in implied win probability. So not to go into a deep advanced discussion, but that's what I would focus on. If it's a lower spread, I wouldn't want to be too far off of it. I would want to be within a point of it at the worst. If we're talking once we get over double digits, I have a little more leeway because again, the variance is going to be greater when you're expecting more points to be scored. So in that position, I feel a little more comfortable. So I would keep it to that. And like I said before, I would pull up, I would Google money line conversion chart, and I would simply keep that up and I would see what is the difference. What does it actually mean when it moves? Because you'll see when it goes from 8 to 8.5, the money line also moves. So what was the change in implied win probability? If it moves 3, 4, 5%, your edge is gone. So there you move on to the next bet. If it moves 1% too, you should still be fine. So that's how I gauge it because I'm living in the same world, Kel. I'm getting the same plays and I have to determine, is there still value now that it's moved a half a point, now that it's moved a point, now that the total's moved? So those are decisions I have to make throughout the entire day. And it's kind of more or less like an intuition and a feel thing. There's not really a set guideline because again, the sport differs, the market differs, the time of the year differs. Like what kind of action? Is it just sharp? Is it just public? So things kind of change, but I would keep it along those guidelines. Pay attention to the half point, how much it means to you, whether you're going to be on the losing side or a push. And then if you're talking lower spreads, less of an adjustment. The higher the spread, the worse of a number you can take.
All right, let's get into a couple things that almost made your card today. Because that's what happens on the Steam sheet, right? So you and Crack are similar in the way, like when I do a show with you, he's getting information, they're getting it down for themselves. And he's like, yeah, we've got 12 bets, but I can only release 4 of them to subscribers because they've moved too much. And the comment section's like, no, we want them all. So what you did was you said, okay, fine. You guys want them all. Here's the Steam sheet, right? Here are my premium selections. Here's what you should be betting 3, 4, 5% on. But these 1% and 2% plays it because they've either moved or you don't have that strong of a push towards them. Here they are, guys. And so I love that because then our audience doesn't feel like they're missing out.
No, and that's that. I can't believe it took us 7 years to figure this out.
I don't know why either.
But that was the move, because look at the results since we've done that. And again, not the tout, but since we've done that, my results have been phenomenal. And for my premium subscribers, they've benefited greatly, but they haven't missed out on the information, because a lot of these guys are sharp cappers. Like they're really good at capping their own stuff. And they're doing what I was doing, where I was a decade ago, 2 decades ago, where I was trying to learn everything. And for me, the Steam Sheet would have been the most valuable asset, because it has all this, the plays that I know now. This went into the sharp accounts. Now I could determine, is there still value there? And even on the stuff you don't agree with, you get to see, how does the market work? How does it react to these plays? What happens later? Is there buyback? Are they just trying the middle? Like, you learn so much just by monitoring the signs. Like I said, I could tell more times than not now where they're going to be on side A or side B, which has made me really good at determining which way the market's going to move, just because of doing this. And once you do it over and over and over again, you start to see, this is what they're looking for. These are the kind of sides they like to lay. These are the numbers they're betting. And again, it's just been such a valuable tool. And that's what goes in there. Every bet that goes in there, Kel, I have action on, but I don't have the conviction to bet more. And those that I put for premiums, those are the ones that match up with the power ratings that I use, that I see in multiple accounts, that I have a strong opinion on myself. Those are premiums. Everything else, I take a percentage of the accounts because I trust they're, going to profit long term. And all this stuff is gold for bettors to use and for themselves to confirm or fade.
Yeah, it absolutely is gold. You guys see some of that gold on the show called Bet On It. If you guys have ever been over there, he shares that kind of stuff with you guys premium. VR, give me a little sample. Give me a few games from the Steam Sheet today for our audience that almost made your card, but you're like, you know what? It's just not a strong enough a conviction to make it a 3% play.
Western Carolina plus the 5, game 7-13. Western Carolina came really close to making that sheet. Where was it that got hit? 809, Northern Arizona over Weber at plus 6.5. That came really close to making my sheet. And where's that last one? Where are you? 689, Ball State. But I saw a lot of it didn't get the respect. And then I started seeing, the square counts on a team like Ball State, that sticks out to me. It's kind of like I seen them on Bowling Green this morning. What could you like about, what is sticking out about Bowling Green? That's where I pay attention to the public information. Like, I don't care about fading the public, but I like to know when they're on these when it really sticks out on a particular matchup. And then I'll look and I'll be like, oh, this team's won 3 straight and they covered by 30 plus. No wonder they're all betting them today. And it's not an auto fade, but you start to realize, okay, now it's overvalued and I could take the other side. So that's where that comes into play. But yeah, a lot of action today, a lot of college basketball. And for the guys that got the Steam Sheet, I'm going to keep updating that throughout the day, because again, plays will keep coming in and the UFC will go in there, the MMA stuff, and anything else I get throughout the day. So yeah, leading into the Super Bowl, let's do some damage on Saturday. And have a good Sunday.
All right, VR is going to be back with Ariel Epstein tomorrow. Talk all things Super Bowl, but today we are college basketball focused at Greek_Gambler on your social channels. We'll be back for a March Madness edition of Bet On It as well. VR, I will see you next Saturday. Appreciate your help, guys. WT.buzz/VR over there on WagerTalk. Let's get in the guys from Full Court Press. We're going to hit all of these questions. What's up, guys? Good morning. Johnny Detroit already told me I look tired in the chat, so I'm just going to keep taking myself off screen. You guys are going to be front and center. Glad Adam's lighting actually looks worse than mine. Sitting here from my kitchen. I'm at my kitchen table. Brett decided, and this is the hard part about being a woman, because you don't want to bitch because you asked them to do something, but Brett decided last week to start construction on my office, and I'm like, I still have 4 more shows, and now they're all going to be from my kitchen. That's okay, though. I got new floors. I'm so excited. Well, they're not there yet, but they're in progress, so I'm going to keep my negative comments to myself. We're going to get into college basketball. Almost 2,500 of you guys watching live across all of the channels. Really quickly, I should have done this before I brought you two on. Super Bowl to Super Bowl, all access here at WagerTalk.com starts tomorrow. Super Bowl 60, February 8th through Super Bowl 61, February 14th. $1,188. That is normally almost $2,000. That works out to exactly $99 per month, $3.25 per day for every single pick, every single sport, and every single 5% best bet released by your favorite capper over the next 12 months. Whether you want VR, whether you want Adam, whether you want Rob, you guys are going to get 25% off on future purchases through this period as well. You're going to get a coupon. So any other regular price capper you want, Flex Pass, all access packages is also going to be 25% off. Okay, there is my little promo so that Gianni doesn't yell at me more in the comment section this morning. Let's get to some college basketball. We're going to start off right here with Steve. He is first, 751 Seton Hall. Guys, you guys didn't hear me say this. I'm on my iPad on Odds Logic today, so you guys have to bear with me here. Takes a minute to keep reconnecting because I keep letting the screen go. So you are going to get your questions answered if you give me a rotation number. If you do not, that's going to make my life a little bit harder. So we're going to scroll all the way down. 751. Seton Hall is playing Creighton. They opened as a 1.5 point favorite, total 137.5, now up to 2. The total's gotten beat up a little bit, now up to 139 at the Superbook. Adam, any opinion here on the side?
Yeah, first of all, my lighting is just bright. It's not that bad. These are these head-on lights that you wanted me to get. And yeah, I just look like I'm glowing right now. But Seton Hall, opposite of glowing, Kel, they can't score. That is the problem with Seton Hall. I got caught with them earlier this week, and it's tough because defensively they're so good. They're so intense when Shaheen Holloway's got a team that really buys in on the defensive end like this one does. They'll grind out games, and that's appealing to me in terms of backing Seton Hall. But earlier this week, they just could not score against Villanova. And they played a game that I didn't think they played that poorly, yet they still lost by 12. So heading all the way out to Omaha here, I'm just kind of done with this team. Of course, today will be the day they come out and play, but they're not going to get my money, especially not on this slate when there's such better things to bet. So, yeah, I just can't do it. I still have a soft spot for the way they play defense and the way they battle, but they just don't put the ball through the basket. So, I guess lean Creighton.
Okay.
Well, I really don't have anything strong there.
All right, I'm just going to keep this going. Rob Veno, question about the total. 645, 646 is Manhattan Sacred Heart, a sneaky over. Total is currently 163. Let me double check and make sure that is still accurate. 162.5, 163.5 at a prominent sharp book. So yeah, that is probably the consensus, guys. And this is what we're going to do all show. We're going to do some rapid fire, get over some of these games for you guys. Check the comment section for all the sharp stuff from Art to Caesar from the Westgate Superbook.
Let's get into Sacred Heart because a school that's been near and dear to my heart so far this season. Adam and I talk about him quite a bit. We've mentioned Anquan Hill since he's returned to Sacred Heart. They've been an offensive juggernaut, so to speak. Had him the other night, team total over against Fairfield. In that game, Sacred Heart could not stop anything, but they did score. Game got into the high 170s. I can't bring myself to play unders where they're involved now, but the odds makers have gotten to them, Kelly. This number at 163.5 just seems a little bit too high. There's been instances over the course of the last 7-8 games since Hall's been back where they do go dry scoring-wise a little bit. Just don't shoot the ball well. It's not for lack of opportunity, just a lack of shots going in. 163 is a little bit high for me to get to the over. I always look at Sacred Heart's team total. They're on the road today, so I'm going to let this go. But, yeah, Sacred Heart's been really good to me as far as overs are concerned. I'm not going to talk anybody off it. Just don't have a play on it myself.
All right, let's keep going through these comments. Again, guys, I really appreciate anybody adding the rotation number. If you guys don't know what the rotation number is, I know it sounds crazy because this was like such a big deal. When I used to go bet at the casino, you better know your rotation number so that the teller isn't constantly scrolling. It's the little number on the very far left on any odds screen, particularly Odds Logic is my favorite, oddslogic.com/Kelly in Vegas for a free week. So let's go through and see what else we've got. Here's one from Craig. Craig wants to know 6:03. So this one's a early start here in the next 30 minutes. Louisville team total over 85.5. Rob, I'm going to kick it back to you because you gave this one out last week. And yeah, I was the loser. I was the loser in the parlay last week. Shocker, guys.
They got there for us last week. Slow start against SMU. Didn't look really good in the beginning, but then they came alive, got their share of points. Louisville does average right in this area for the season. A little bit of an injury problem here with Javon Hadley, who only played 3 minutes to start last game, went out with a back injury, couldn't get full confirmation that he will go today. However, you are playing Wake Forest, who Steve Forbes had to admit in his teleconference on Monday, saying last year's team was better defensively. This year we try to play faster, a little bit better offensive team than we were last year. It's been a give and take. A lot of give. They give up a lot of points, Kelly. I could see Louisville getting to that number today. However, I found it to be just on the boundary of where I wanted to get. If it would have been like 83.5, I probably would have made that play, but we're sitting a little higher than that here. Even though Wake Forest allows a lot and Louisville might find their way to 90, I'm not sure I could bet it. But again, I'm not here to talk anybody off of what their opinion is, just giving you what I looked at.
All right, friend of the show, Garth is here. So I'm going to let Adam take this one. Thoughts on Temple, East Carolina? I like Temple -2.5. The rotation number 615, 616, open 2.5. Now we've seen Temple drop down to 2 at Circa and Superbook. That's really interesting. The totals come down a bit too to 139.5.
Yeah, that is an interesting one because this one definitely I'd love to still have Gianni on here because this one was getting manipulated for sure. Right? This was all the way up. I think Temple got hit. It was all the way up to maybe 3.5. It's definitely coming back down. So Garth, the tough one here is my number's closer to pick. I guess I understand why this may have gotten faked up and then some East Carolina money would come in because of course Temple comes off of the win of their season. The signature win. They beat South Florida at home early last week. So they've had the whole week off. They beat them on Saturday, have the whole week off. Now have to go on the road and play an East Carolina team that's sort of viewed as inferior, but they're probably not. Those two teams probably aren't that far apart, even though East Carolina has been the worst team this year. East Carolina, same kind of deal, though. They had a nice win last week against FAU, a road win for them. That's an upset to go to Boca Raton and win. So here, I'm not really disagreeing with you, sort of like leaning toward the Temple side, thinking they're the better team. East Carolina doesn't have a huge home atmosphere. But one thing I will say about ECU, which has kept me off of fading them this year, the Sharps love ECU. They bet them all the time. They must think that ECU value-wise, like relative to like where they are now, relative to where they thought they would be, is lower. Because it seems like ECU gets hit with sharp money every single game. So this whole little thing where they faked up the Temple, bet ECU doesn't surprise me. I'm not saying you're wrong for liking the Temple side, but two teams, very even. I had the number closer to pick. Kind of a toss-up. I maybe lean ECU based on that activity, but East Carolina, I would have liked it a lot better at 3.5, though.
All right, let's keep it going here. Quinnipiac, Niagara. I know AirDuck23 is asking Trig, but I'm going to give it to Rob. Currently, well, this one's come down a little bit at the Superbook. Quinnipiac opened up as a 13-point favorite, 12.5 at the Superbook, and they're holding steady there while the rest of the market is at 13.5. 137.5 here is the total.
It seems like an awful lot. I mean, obviously it's a contrast in styles here, guys. Quinnipiac wants to get out and go. Niagara wants to make the game into a 55 possession game. When you're dealing with a number like 13.5, Niagara does have to make a few shots to get there. But I don't know that Quinnipiac's defense is good enough to hold them to where they'd have to hold them to get the cover in this game. I could see something in the 68-57 range, which it's a double-digit loss, but it still gets you there. Not in the market of playing Niagara, because they are so poor offensively, and it's maybe the worst team in the MAC this year, but they're well coached. Adam talks about them quite often, and probably well coached enough to get within this number, because Quinnipiac at times, to tell you the truth, although they're more talented, can be a little bit undisciplined. So I would probably look to take the points. Again, not something I played, but I think the points would be a little bit enticing with Niagara there.
Okay, let's keep this going. Look at all of these questions without rotation numbers. All right, fine. This isn't a question, but this is a big game that's going to be tipping off here shortly. 6:05, 6:06, Arkansas, Mississippi State. Arkansas -6, 163, 163 and a half, 164 now is the total. This one's come up quite a bit from the opener. Breakdown Mississippi State at home versus Arkansas, Trig.
This one's so tough because Arkansas, obvious team where they've got the home road splits. It's well known at this point. They're a team that, on the road never seems to play as good. Their splits would suggest that this year, and this is going back a long time, Kelly. I mean, you can go back 10, 15 years, the Musselman days. Like it almost doesn't matter. Every year, Arkansas has this crazy home road contrast. This year, 12-1 at home, 2-3 on the road. So it's definitely there again. And now, of course, you're laying multiple possessions on the road. That's something that, I think would scare some folks off Arkansas that kind of tune into those home road splits. With that being said, I don't think Mississippi State's any good this year at all. Arkansas, to me, I think we've now had it 3 weeks in a row on this show. It's either been on the show or anytime they play, and Rob and I talk about Arkansas, I say the same thing. I think they are so much more talented than their sort of like output has been so far this season. And I continue to wait for them to really turn the corner. Now, they're having a good season, 16-6. They're in the top 25. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I thought they could be knocking on the door of the top 10 by this point. And some of the youngsters just haven't really fully come along yet to, the ability to get the big win on the road. Last time out, a home game, a rare loss at home to Kentucky. In this game, I just think they're so much more talented than Mississippi State. I think this Mississippi State team is awful. I've kind of said this, early this year when they were struggling with the team like New Orleans on their home floor. I believe Kansas State, Kel, even beat this team. What does that say about Mississippi State right now?
Well, you know what? They only lost to Nebraska by a point, Trig. So that's the funniest thing. And then, by the way, we were talking about Bowling Green before you guys popped on, and I want to say, yeah, VR, I know who Bowling Green is. Yeah, that isn't triggering whatsoever. Let's get into Seattle, Portland really quickly.
What I'll wrap up with that one though, Kel. I'm just gonna say this is a rare scenario where I think I would just lay it with what I think is the significantly better team. I know they're on the road, but I want nothing to do with Mississippi State. So Arkansas.
Let me double check. I think that is actually on the sharp list. There were so many games that were coming through. I just bet them all. Like, just full disclosure, guys, I just bet them all because it's easier that way. I will say this. A sharp group hit that under 164. Confirmed from Art Caesar, Westgate Superbook. Rob Veno, I'm going to get into a question about Seattle, Portland, 795, 796. Seattle is a 3.5-point favorite now. And this total has just gotten completely obliterated. Opened 137 all the way up to 142 at a couple prominent offshores. 142.5 here in Florida at the Hard Rock. Good grief. Before you get into it, though, I want you to talk about Double the Firepower, the promotion you and Adam having going on over at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, we're good at talking about that now, Kel. We got our facts straight on this. It's called Double the CBB, or CBB Double the Firepower. Maybe I got that wrong, but you get the idea. College basketball package. Only myself, Adam, all the plays that we release every day for a 3-day period, including 5%ers if we happen to have one on that given day. $59 for the 3 days worth of selections. I always say it's a pretty nice package to get because of the way we handicap. Adam is, 99% sides. I'm probably 99% total. So you're going to get a good mix of both, but it's any 3-day period that you like. Go ahead and purchase for 3 days, $59, double the CBB firepower. And, it's been a really good season. I'll just stick this in at the end here. Since December 1st, about a 7.5-week period now, where we've been up over 40 units, ranking number 2 over at WagerTalk since that time. So good long run here. Adam's been good in February as well. So $59, 3 days, double the CBB firepower. Seattle, Portland, without missing a beat here. Kel, that total probably has nothing to do with Seattle being good offensively. Seattle's so up and down, more into being a grinder type team than they are an open floor team. This is mostly due to Portland and their ability to score points here. Obviously, some analytics or some mathematicians out there thought that maybe it started too low and push it up high, because there's really no personnel reason to go ahead and bet this game as heavily to the over as they have. Like I said earlier, it's definitely due to Portland being hot lately offensively, the better offensive team. There was no earlier meeting between the two, so we don't even have recent history to go on as of yet. At this point in time, I don't know that I would get involved. As Ski and I like to say on his show, you don't want to take the ass end of the line here. So probably pass at this point in time, but congratulations to those who have their closing line value with this total.
No kidding. Talk about some CLV on a Saturday. Let's keep it going. Right off the top, this game is tipping off in less than 24 minutes. Wisconsin, Indiana, the very top of the odds logic screen here. 4.5 was the opener, 155.5. This one's lighting up like crazy. 158 now, currently the total, dropping down on the Hoosiers down to even 2.5 here in Florida at the Hard Rock. Kind of some crazy steam, Adam. Break down this Big Ten matchup for me.
Yeah, probably something to do with Tate Connerway being out. I think I saw that come across that he's probably out for today. I don't know that matters a ton. They've played without him at times this year. I thought they've been fine. That being said, I do like the spot for Wisconsin. I've got a list of 17 games here, Kel. I've played 4 of them. There's 13 that I'm still thinking about. Wisconsin is one of those 13 that, I bet against Indiana last week, or in their last game. USC got the job done in that game. I didn't necessarily think Indiana played poorly. I just thought USC had one of their better games. Now, Indiana was out west for that whole week. They played UCLA, double overtime. They win that game. They turn around, ran out, kind of actually didn't really run out of gas. They made a run late to nearly steal it, fell just short against USC. Wisconsin's had the whole week to sort of rest and prepare for this game. Now you take Connerway out for Indiana. It's not the worst matchup up for Wisconsin, because I do think they'll force Indiana into some tougher shots. And that is the thing with Indiana. If you can make them, shoot tougher shots, that can be a path to victory. The game is at home where they shoot it better. And again, that would be like the angle for Indiana. I've kind of looked to play on them at home this year because of that, because I feel like they make more shots at home. But for me here, it's Wisconsin or pass. Now you take Connerway out, and I think it's a pretty strong lean to the Badgers for me.
All right, another early game in the Big Ten. We're going to kick it to Rob Veno, 6'11", 6'12", here on the odds logic screen. Nebraska open up 12.5, still sitting there steady. This total got steamed to oblivion as well. Opened 141.5, now 145 there at the Westgate Superbook. I know you do a lot with totals, Rob, and I appreciate it. I think this total is probably unbettable at this point. We mentioned this K-State team and how they took Nebraska on a neutral court to the end. Nebraska has went one direction since that game, and it has been all to the moon. At what point in time are we paying too much of a premium to bet this team, though?
Well, I'm so glad this question came up, Kel, because I'm thinking to myself, I probably shouldn't have done this to the 3 of us. This is my parlay leg, and it goes at 12, and it's already 20 minutes to 12. So you want to make sure everybody gets in here. But I played the Nebraska team total. I isolated this one over 78.5, a team that's coming off a couple of back-to-back losses here. And in the words of head coach Fred Hoiberg, we need to get right. We need to get better. The layoff, a lot of these head coaches were talking about the week layoff. SEC coaches, Big Ten coaches had 7 days off, and a lot of them were happy that they had time to get their teams healthier This is one head coach who is happy mainly because Rank Mast has had some time to get healthier, missed a game, didn't play well in that most recent game that they played, but now should be good here. Hoiberg's calling for this to be a get-right game, and there's probably no better team to get right offensively against than Rutgers, which is such a poor defensive team right now. Lost 6 in a row, allowing 85 a game in that 6-game skid. Steve Peichel, their head coach, just says, we're young and still learning. 7 freshmen on the squad. It shows up every time Rutgers takes the floor that they can't defend. Last game against UCLA, I think they gave up 99 or something crazy. So for me, it was Nebraska team total over 78.5. Lucky for us, that number didn't move. The full game total has moved, but the 78.5 has stayed steady. It'll be my parlay leg for the three of us here. Nebraska team total over 78.5, and it goes in about 20 minutes.
Okay, Adam, Trigger, I'm just going to go right over to you while we're waiting on some more questions here, and then I got another total for Rob Veno. Give me your parlay for today. I'll give you guys mine as well before the end of the show, but we got some time for mine.
All right, I'll give out one of my 4 best bets. I'm on my way to this game in a couple hours. I'm back in the alma mater today. I've barely done that this year, so it's not like I've really played on Siena a ton. Honestly, it's been hard to find really good spots to play on Siena because they've been winning. They've won 6 in a row. They're starting to sort of find the water, find the level, quote where it's like, this was always what I think most people expected Siena would be this year, near the top of the MAC. Now they trail Merrimack by a half game. This is actually a huge game in Jersey City this afternoon. St. Peter's is right up there with them. So really, you have Merrimack who's held on to first. Siena St. Peter's for second place. It's a really big game. And you're getting Siena at a pick here. And when I look at these two teams, to me, Siena is still the clear better option. St. Peter's struggles offensively. Like, the one thing they can do is throw a couple different defenses at Siena, namely a zone. Siena's very much struggled with zone this year at times, but I do think they've gotten a little bit better in that regard. Whereas if you went back to early in the season, if you threw a decent zone at Siena, they couldn't get much offense going at all. Now, Gavin Doty's sort of figured out, not to just totally dribble into the zone. Brendan Coyle started to hit more shots. And the freshman Folafak, who no one really knew who he was coming into the year because he was behind Tasman Goodrick, who's now out for the year with a knee injury. He was behind Riley Mulvey, who transfers from Iowa. He's been arguably the best big, and he's played tremendous for Siena. And because he's so strong and so physical, it almost doesn't matter if you zone Siena at this point because they can get the ball into him and he's able to make something happen. If St. Peter's goes, man, Gavin Doty's going to torch them. I just don't think they have the offense to keep up with Siena, who's been the most efficient offense in the MAC. It's only a pick. That's disrespectful, Kel. I'm going to make sure they know it when I'm there in an hour and a half. That's a disrespectful line. Siena's going to win in Jersey City today. 4% play.
All right, let's keep it going. Cade did not give me a rotation number, but neither of the rest of you. So we're just going to start going through some of these that I can at least find on my odds logic screen. He thinks the total is too low here at it's even 140 in some spots here on the odds logic screen. Rob Veno, rotation number 659, 660, Missouri State at Liberty.
Yeah, I've always come to the conclusion, Kelly, that saying any total is too low when Quanzo Martin is involved as your head coach is probably not a good code to live by. Obviously, Quanzo here, Missouri State's been, I think, better than expectations this year, but still they lean on the defensive side. Liberty is such a shot-making team. That's the problem, right? Richie McKay's team, very pedestrian-like on offense, but man, they're so efficient and they make shots. And sometimes it doesn't matter how slow you go. If you're going to score, who cares anyway? That's the problem you run into here. If Liberty has a hot shooting day, this probably gets over. I don't know that they have it against the Missouri State defense, though. So for me, I can make contradictory arguments to both sides here. Not something I want to get involved with. But for the third time today, I'll say it. I'm not here to talk anybody off of what they like. Just telling you that I can't find a real good edge in this game.
That's the interesting thing here, Rob. And I want to touch on that because VR and I talk about it a lot to start the show. But I do think that it's kind of okay, so I got basically 20 plays from the Westgate Superbook. I'll drop them in the chat again because now there's almost 5,000 of you guys watching. I'm not going to sit here and try. especially with some of these smaller schools, to try to differentiate, right? I'm just going to tail every single week. It's been profitable. The end, right? When there are this many college basketball games, what is your advice to these guys trying to sift through, right? Like Adam, I've talked about this before. Obviously, I'm going to give you guys my play from the Big 12. I focus on the Big 10, the Big 12, the SEC, a little bit of ACC. And when I lived in Vegas, I really liked the Mountain West Conference for college basketball. For guys like you and Adam that have to go through 300 college basketball teams and to try to really hone in this late into the season, for me, has been really difficult, right? I was on Radio Row in San Francisco all week, and they're like, give us a college basketball play today. I'm like, do you think me, I've had any time to even look at the college basketball slate? And I used to always wait until college football season was over. I was like, college basketball, love conference play. I don't need to be doing college basketball in November. No, the reality is right now, you better be starting college basketball in September, because with the transfer portal, the coaching changes, NIL, it is a completely different landscape to handicap than it was a decade ago.
There's no question. Go ahead, Adam. You go.
I was just going to say, I can't wait till all the pros stroll in on Monday once football's done, because that's coming. Everyone's going to be a college basketball expert next week. So just be ready for that. Go ahead, Rob.
I would say real quick that the full court press show was a huge help this year, Kelly. I'm kind of with you that seasons, I don't know, maybe I'm just getting older. Obviously I am, but it seems like they overlap quicker and quicker every single year. And it's so hard. It's like you're in the 6th week of college football, and college hoop is already at their midnight, shoot around midnight madness, whatever. And it's about to start. Doing the full court press show, in all honesty, I had taken November and December off the last 2 years. Just played very, very sporadically and waited till January because I couldn't keep full focus. And I used to keep really good focus, power ratings on 365 teams, et cetera. But doing the show with Adam, it's kind of, we come on, we know a lot about what we're talking about, but it's still a learning process for guys like me. Like you mentioned, the NIL, the transfers, et cetera, et cetera. I think you have to have a passion for these mid-majors. I think Adam and I both do. That's why we follow them. But to your point, yeah, it's difficult. It really is difficult. It's a lot of work. Sometimes my wife will be like, are you ever coming out of that office? Yeah, I'll get out there eventually. We'll watch something on Netflix.
I mean, why do you think my office is getting done right now? Because Brett's like, oh, football season's over. Kelly isn't even doing hardly anything with college basketball. I think he forgot about last call here.
Why do you think I'm in a hotel room in Jersey City right now? I could have stayed at my buddy's house in Westchester. I started to do the math. Because I'm hanging out with some of the Siena guys this weekend. I started doing the math, and I said, if I'm going to the city and I got to get to Jersey City by 2:00, and I've got like 7 hours of at least college basketball. I've been up since 5 a.m. I did go downstairs for breakfast though. Other than that, I've been up since 5 a.m. And then I got to do this show, and then I might have there's just no time. So that's the other thing, Rob. We just like eat, sleep, breathe this. If I have any free time, I'm probably at a game. I was at the Garden last night. Phenomenal. St. John's fans showed up. As good as I can ever remember. It was all St. John's fans. All the UConn fans that are like Joey Cheese is like it's Stores South. It wasn't last night, Cal. It was all St. John's fans. But you got to really love it, I think. Or it's, yeah, I guess I agree with Rob there.
Okay, so I have a question personally for you guys. Going back to coaching, going back to NIL, Kelvin Sampson kind of, okay, I'm going to say this with a grain of salt. Sometimes I believe what coaches say in the NFL, college football, and sometimes I think they're just kind of blowing smoke. So there's Kelvin Sampson basically like, Houston's broke, we can't afford, yada, 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 yada. So now I'm going, oh, wait a minute. Are they? Like, I want to lay it with Houston tonight on the road as my best bet. But I am 0 for 2 now on my parlay legs for you guys, and that's just not acceptable. So I wanted to run this one by you. I think this is kind of one of those spots where everybody's going to want to back the home dog in BYU, but this is still a Houston Cougars team who has been full steam ahead in conference action, minus that Texas Tech game, right? Kelvin Sampson is still one of the best coaches in the country. I know Ski would be screaming from the mountaintops, just take them first half. Thoughts on laying -1.5 here on the road with Houston, arguably one of the best backcourts in the country.
Well, real quick, Kel, I saw Kelvin Sampson's rant, and I did on the show yesterday with Ski. We were off air, and I said, why don't you just dig into those pockets and help Houston out and get them some NIL kids that Kelvin Sampson can't get? He's probably not, BYU made the firm commitment a couple of years ago where they were going to pay kids and handsomely. So they've actually made the jump in that league. But right now, where this game is concerned, first of all, where Kelvin Sampson is concerned, this guy will find anything, and I mean anything, motivationally, to fuel himself, to fuel his team, call ourselves broke, whatever it takes to get them to play. It's interesting to see them this year as the most offensively efficient team in the Big 12. When's the last time that ever happened? Generally, it's Houston can't, hit water standing in a boat in the ocean. But this year they make shots, plenty of offensive weaponry. And where the BYU side is concerned, here's what I worry about with them. Adam has talked about this with William and Mary a little bit because of the pace they play. But with BYU, I just wonder if this grinder through the Big 12, and they've played some tough teams. They've got 4 losses in this league already because they played tough competition. I wonder if because they're so depth shy that it doesn't wear on them at this point of the season. That place, the Marriott Center, is as difficult as any place to play and win. I don't know. I would kind of lean Houston here myself. I know it's a must game almost for BYU with 4 league losses. But I just think that Houston at this point in time where BYU might be a little bit fatigued, that starting 5, and they're going to come at you for all 40 minutes. So for me, I'd slightly lean Houston.
And I do because I agree. Like I took Kelvin Sampson the same way that you did, Veno, that I thought, all right, he's just trying to light a fire under his team's ass. Like he's just like, oh, we're broke. Oh, we're poor and destitute. Oh, poor us. Like, and then basically it's a must win for BYU. I think everybody's going to want to take the home dog there. It looks so easy to take the Cougars there at home, who have now dropped 3 straight. So my leg of the parlay is lay 1.5 on the road. You know what I should do? I should go on my odds logic screen and look at the money line. If it's -130 or less, I think it's probably the right move to take. I'm going to double check that. It's all the way down at the bottom of the rotation.
It is, Kel. I see only 115 in most places.
Really? Okay, so we're going to walk that back. We're not laying 1.5 here with Houston tonight. We're going to lay it -115 on the money line as my leg for the parlay. Johnny Detroit wants to know how many people are watching live. Almost 6,000. Very, very, very close to 6,000. 5,980 watching you guys live. Adam Trigger, any game that you want to break down? Lots of chats, lots of guys complaining in the chat that like when they open up their sports betting app, it doesn't have the rotation number because they just don't. That's why I need you guys, even if you guys go to the free WagerTalk live odds screen, type in the team name, give me the rotation number. On a day like today, when there's a bazillion of these things, come on, guys. Like I need your help.
Yeah, the apps replace the rotation number with like a search function. So now all the apps have the search function. So there's like no need for, but it doesn't help us when we're trying to sift through 155 games. What I'll do this. I'm gonna read the parlay quick, just because this game is going to start in like 5 minutes. So the our 3-teamer for the show is going to be Nebraska team total over 78.5, and then we've got Siena on the money line, and then we've got Houston on the money line. So that's a 3-teamer. You got -115 juice on 2 of those. I'll, obviously shop around, get the best number. I'll calculate the price and we'll recap it on Monday morning. We kind of need this one to get back right around even for the parlay.
I know. Sorry, guys. Kelly,
not you.
For Kelly is not good.
We were really close to being back to even like earlier this week, and then we had some bad luck on a couple of them. But since you're giving me the floor, and I'm going to have a bunch of plays today. Like I've already got 4 locked in on the package with Rob and, for clients. I will likely add at least 1 more, 2 more. There's 155 games. What are we supposed to do? They gave us 0 games yesterday and 0 games tomorrow. So it's going to be one of those days where you've got a huge slate. So I'll give a second client play out. It's another early tip. I also don't feel like writing this up. I've got to get over to the arena. So it's another reason I want to give it out. But I laid the 9.5 with Vermont. Vermont is, man, Rob, when was the last time the Vermont Catamounts lost 3 games in a row? I truly can't remember. I would love to know if someone like could cue that up. It probably has been a very long time in conference in the America East. I'm sure it's happened non-conference because they'll challenge themselves in non-conference play. But in this league, this team just does not lose 3 games in a row. That's what they're facing today. Back-to-back losses for Vermont. Suddenly, they're no longer at the top of the America East standings. They're looking up at UMBC and NJIT. I think that's a big-time wake-up call for this team that just hasn't really occurred in conference play. I know they didn't win the league last year, but Bryant was very good. It was known that Bryant was really good and going to win the league. This year, Vermont was supposed to come and just run through this league, no problem. They haven't really done that, but here at home, New Hampshire's not very good. This is kind of a rivalry up there. Vermont, New Hampshire does consider themselves to be rivals. I don't know that it's like the craziest basketball rivalry, but it's still kind of a big deal. Patrick Gym, where Vermont always typically plays well, where they can extend a lead and blow a team out. So because we had a nice blowout winner on Thursday with UMBC in this league, I decided to lay the 9.5. My number was like 14.5. So one of the biggest discrepancies I had on the slate today. And when it comes down to it, I think any sort of focused effort here from Vermont could blow this one open. And because I was so far off on the number, all I need is a double-digit win. That sounds pretty good. New Hampshire hasn't been good in a long time. A little bit better this year, but still not up to the top teams in this league. So I'll back Vermont to bounce back and do it by double digits. Vermont minus 9.5.
All right, questions asking about Art Caesar from the Westgate Superbook. I dropped him in the chat twice. Sorry, you guys have to scroll up. It's such an immense amount of games. It takes up like a giant chunk, so I don't want to continue to keep doing that. Rob Veno, let me know what you've got going on over at WagerTalk.com. Let me know if there is a game that narrowly missed your card that you think might still be worth a free play for our audience.
Yeah, real quick, what's going on over at WagerTalk.com? Obviously, the Super Bowl is tomorrow. I've had a 5% play up at WagerTalk.com, blue chip release. So you can find that over at my homepage, wt.buzz/RV. I'll give you a scratch my head game, Kel, that still may make my card. I guess we could consider this free. Clients may find this on there later, but Montana plays later on against Idaho. They're about a 2-point favorite. There was some scattered 1.5s out there. Montana at home lost an 11-game home winning streak the other night against Eastern Washington, a game that they were expected to win. Kind of strange that they did lose that one, but here they are 2 nights later playing back at home against the worst offensive team in the Big Sky Conference. Montana, when you have Money Williams, usually have the best player on the floor. I just think Montana, for whatever reason, and I guess, I wasn't on with VR when VR was on, but maybe he listed Idaho as a play because they got some action early on. No injury situations. I wonder if it's just a game that they're going to come back with later. But for me, I really see no reason why Montana doesn't win this game by 3 points. Obviously, the superior team, a little bit angry off of losing that 11-game home streak the other night. I think they bounce back here and win by 3.
All right. Shout out to almost 7,000 of you guys watching us live right here on this beautiful Saturday morning with over 150 college basketball games. If you're just joining us, Kelly Stewart here, Rob Veno, Adam Trigger. They have a daily college basketball show called Full Court Press. And on Saturdays, I throw myself in the mix so I can take some cliff notes and hopefully find myself some winners. Shout out to both of these guys working damn near 8 days a week, if that is even humanly possible. If you guys have a question for them during the week, drop it in their show chat. They are excellent about getting to all of the audience questions. Tomorrow is the Super Bowl, and Ariel Epstein is going to be here hosting live with Gianni the Greek. Teddy covers Marco D'Angelo of WagerTalk.com. If you guys are looking for some help with your Super Bowl props, she will be there to help you, as well as Ralph Michaels, who made an entire guide over on the Wager Talk homepage. Just click downloads, check that out. Adam Trigger, Rob Veno, thank you guys for all of your hard work this college basketball season and trying to get me up to speed, of course, here mid-February. Again, guys, check them out every single day of the week, 10 a.m. Eastern, Full Court Press right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel.